It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God. Of that, there's just no debate on that. You may like it, may not like it. Declaration of Independence, we find these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It goes on in the Constitution to say we are putting together this Constitution in a preamble to secure the blessings, not only for ourselves, for posterity. And that Constitution followed with a Bill of Rights that enumerated those godly rights given to man, including the very first one, which was a right to believe in God and to express that belief anytime, anywhere, including the public square.
33 million. It's proven to the money investors that people want something to feed their souls, not just their worst desires.
Absolutely.
And
yes, indeed.
This kind of sums up my entire dialogue career on the heat of the night. You ready for this? Okay, this is it. My 7 years on the heat of the night. My dialogue all summarized into this. Get right on it, Chief.
But Bubba's my name. I like my iced tea sweet and my women the same. I'm your brown-haired badge here in little old Sparta, but nobody's bigger or tougher or smarter. If you're looking to fight, best not be with me. Gonna be held tight, well now we'll just see. You never know in the heat of the night on TNT. Heat of the night on TNT. Now I don't put on any airs, but then I ain't no slob. Just a redneck boy with a blue-collar job. The ladies I date, they gonna have 'em some fun, 'cause I'm a big hunk of crime fighting son of a gun. So if you're looking to fight, come on up in the ring. You wanna be held tight, just about anything can happen in the heat of the night on TNT. Hubba, 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 heat of the night on TNT. Yeah.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood, to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX. This is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody's grabbing out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last!
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 1550.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. I'm old Alan Autry. It is Wednesday, Wild Wednesday, Wacky Wednesday, Winsome Wednesday, however you want to refer to it. We're here live from KXEX Studios 1550 here in Fresno, California at the beautiful Manchester Center. And just want to thank everyone who tunes in via the old school radio waves or through the internet all over. It's just still amazing to me. I know I bring that up from time to time, probably too often. But dadgummit, it still amazes me. I'll just be doing Christmas shopping or whatever, and I'll just stop and think, my gosh, this technology that you can actually pick up this little phone that has my life on it, my to-do list, banking stuff, everything. But I can take it, punch in the right number, and talk to somebody over in Kiev in real time. It's just amazing. And that's not, technology. I tell you, I liken it to a gun. A lot to criticize there. Yeah, you could take that gun. If you don't know how to use it right, you can hurt somebody. You can shoot somebody accidentally on purpose, or yourself. Or back in the day, and still in some parts of the country, with food prices being what they are, they're out hunting. They're using that gun to go get some food, dagnabbit, and not a bad thing to do right now, and have a gun to defend themselves. That's a good thing to defend your family, your home, but it depends on how you use it. And I think technology is the same. If you use it right, you don't get addicted to it. You don't start worshiping it. It's great to be able to know where your kids are. Foggy Saturday night, and they want to go out, and they're out. They're like 16, 17. They can drive. You can't, you got to let them be free. You got to let them fly the nest. But we sit and we worry. And back in the old days, in those foggy nights, I remember something would happen, and instead of coming home at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. when I told my mom and dad I was going to come home, I come traipsing in at 1 at 2 o'clock in the morning. Will not tell you the reasons why. But, foggy night, they had to be worried sick, and they were. But you got that cell phone now. So anyway, I'm kind of editing myself because I have not been a big fan of technology, but I got to stop being so one-sided, having the blinders on about this. I mean, I got 2 artificial hips right now, and I do things now, jump around like I did when I was 30, really, in terms of, being able to move and be mobile. I'm just so blessed. But prior to those hip replacements, I mean, I was looking like going into a wheelchair. And I was thinking to myself, how do I be functionable and be, relevant in anything in life in a wheelchair? And I was being, I can write screenplays, and maybe if they do Ironside 2, I can be cast in that. Ironside, the new generation, although I'm old. But, I got these two hips replaced, and dadgum, it's like a new lease on life. And I automatically, still from time to time, go back to my poor grandmother, who had an auto accident, 1950 it was. And I lived with my grandma until I was almost 8 years old, along with some aunts and uncles and my mom. And my grandmother was confined to crutches because of a hip injury from that accident. Never to walk again on her own power. Well, if that technology that we have today would have been available to her, because she was very active, she loved to get up and go and did things on crutches that most people don't do with 2 good legs. So active and such a joyful spirit that she had, and to have that mobility taken from her, it was rough. And so there's, I think about, again, even present day, when I came out from the operation, the first hip replaced, and I was like, you do a little rehab, but you come back quick from those things. Knees are a little bit bad. It takes a while longer to come back to where the pain's completely gone, and shoulders even more so. They've advanced, quite a ways in both of those replacement operations. But hips, man, they've made quantum leaps forward. You get it replaced, you're up on your feet really that day. You're out of if you have to stay overnight, which you do, they usually keep you overnight for a day or so. But you're back walking and pretty much pain-free within a week or 2 weeks. And so I got my first one done. I couldn't wait for the second one. So 2.5 months later, they go in and they do the second one.
Same thing, successful, completely out of pain. But then I thought about people around the world. And I had this image in my mind, this visage of over in Africa, third world countries, that a guy my age, same pain in the hip, same thing going on. But the best it's going to be for him the rest of his life is, breaking off a branch of a tree, and that's his cane. And he hobbles around till he can't hobble anymore. And they lay him down, and he just kind of is immobile for the rest of his days. And I felt guilty. I actually felt guilty a little bit because I didn't do anything special to have the blessing to be born in the United States of America, to take advantage of that great technology. Who am I? This guy over there. And again, I have the image in who he is. Visually, I see the guy still today in my mind. And he's obviously not alone. There's millions that just don't have access to the health care that we have in this country. And, I look at all the waste. I look at the United Nations, and I put forth this in private conversations, and let me put it forth to you today because we don't have Larry with us, usually on Wednesday, probably wondering where he is. I didn't introduce him. Well, Larry's out speaking because we don't confine his wisdom here at KXEX. We're sure blessed and happy to have him when he can make it here, but he does a lot of speaking. He was on the East Coast a week ago and had another opportunity to go out, and we support that 100%. Happy when he can make it here. But certainly understand and wish him well and pull for him, pray for him to bless others. And then Guillermo had a meeting come up for the betterment of the studio. I think that was right on the heels of his meeting with Khomeini over there in Iran, trying to get him to stop sending those drones to Russia. I don't know how that went, but we'll have Guillermo on. He'll be able to tell us about that. But I had I've had this conversation quite often over dinner, around groups, in my own mind, thinking about the United Nations and their mission. They're never going to solve any kind of territorial dispute. They're not going to be the world's unbiased policeman in terms of disagreements between countries. They're not even going to be able to crack down in any effective way on human rights violations. My goodness, if they could, they'd already have done it in China with the Uyghurs. They'd already have done it in Africa, where the slave trade is still, in West Africa, still going strong. Hard to believe, but it is. They would have already made some significant, meaningful headway. But they're just symbolic. They're sitting there, and it's supported by billions and billions of dollars, and you have representatives from around the world that if they picked a subject or picked a topic, picked a mission, that they could actually make some progress in, it would be fantastic. The structure's there. They get in and, okay, you're going to reprimand or punish Russia for its invasion of Ukraine, but Iran abstains. You got to have unanimous, and China does this, or the United States does something that the United Nations should send a clear message to don't do that again. You can never get a unanimous deal. It's just meaningless. But what if the United Nations says, you know what? We're going to galvanize the world on bringing hip replacements, heart technology, pacemakers to third world countries that don't have access to it. We're going to make sure that they have clean water all over the world. We're going to make a mission of let's figure out a clean water plan for Africa, South America. You look at subjects, a mission like that. That's doable. That's doable because private organizations have proven that it can be done. When there's a disaster around in the United States and even all over the world, there's a group called Convoy of Hope. You might have heard of them. They're networked around that. Their United Nations, their United Mission is so connected, so organized, they can get food and the essentials to survive, water, to some of the most remote areas here in the United States. And they're extending their mission beyond. Why couldn't the United Nations use all of their power to do that? Then I have another one. How about back in the day, it was called disarmament, getting rid of nuclear weapons, at least get them down to a level of each country that if there was a war and nuclear weapons were used, that you'd have a chance to have some part of the planet survive. Rather a total smoldering mess where life is incapable of carrying on, which is where we are now. One country, Russia, has 2,400 nuclear warheads. That's enough to destroy the world like 500 times over. One country. The United States is very close behind. I think we have 1,900. China, I think, is like 1,500. And although they won't admit it, Israel has it. And you're sitting there going, okay, someday this stuff's going to be used. Why? These weapons are going to be used. Why? Because they always have. Countries have always been put in a desperate situation, and they use whatever weapon they have because to them, they feel they're facing an existential threat. You believe a crazy guy like Hitler would not have used nuclear weapons if he would have had them rather than putting a gun to his head in a bunker with him and Eva Braun? He would have used them. He was that close, as Jack Hanna would say, a frog hair away from having a nuclear bomb. We, the good guys, America, the good guys, we're going to win the war, as Joe Louis said, because God's on our side. We dropped 2 of them. We dropped 2 of them on Japan. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Innocent citizens. Why? Because there was an existential threat to the United States, is what Truman said. Maybe there was. Japanese were not going to give up. It was a religion. The emperor wasn't just a leader. The emperor was like God. So you had kamikaze pilots flying their planes into ships, giving their life because it wasn't just for a cause. The emperor was God. So how do you stop that? You had to get to Japan or they're going to keep fighting. And by some estimates, Truman was told by his intelligence, and by the way, I trust intelligence back in the 40s more than I would today. It was much less corrupted. The president really got real information. And the estimation was if they tried to take Japan with traditional military forces, that you would see a minimum of 100,000 American soldiers die. Minimum. So you got a country, not going to give up, going to keep fighting. What do? We have a segment on this show called Hard Choices that we haven't done in a while. You know what Truman had? People tend to like demonize him for this, what he did. It was horrific. The war is horrific. Pearl Harbor was horrific. You attack some soldiers, in a surprise attack while they're sleeping. Their kids are there. Their wives are there. That's pretty horrific. And the American public wanted payback. There was no weapon too horrific that the American public said, hey, you got to use it. You go use it. You got to stop these guys. And he did. Well, let's set off a whole new era in where there's the pre-Hiroshima, Nagasaki world and today's world. That's why this war over in Ukraine is so dangerous. We've kind of lost sense of that horror. You don't see the pictures of the kids being burnt and people being incinerated. There was one image I'll never forget. It was just an outline of a person on a sidewalk that had been vaporized by that bomb. There was nothing left, just an imprint on the cement. Horrific weapon. And these weapons now that we have, the least of them are about 50 to 100 times more powerful than what we dropped. You get what I'm saying? Now let me tie it back to the UN. Let me tie it back to this green movement that's out there, the new Green Deal, the Green New Deal, whatever. First of all, it's an economy killer right now. Too fast, too much, too fast, and you haven't sorted out the wheat from the chaff in terms of what's going to work, what's not going to work, and hopefully if we have enough show left, I'm going to get into that in a later subject. But you're talking about climate change, of which even the top scientists that the new Green Deal advocates point to as their voices of brilliance. They said that all the top scientists agree that you're having climate change created by man. And we're starting to see some of the consequences now with the ice cap and climate change, more hurricanes, this and that. Whether you buy that or not, say that you do. That's it, that humans cause the climate change to some degree. Even these scientists tell the advocates of this new Green Deal that it won't be until at least 2080, 2090, before the real Armageddon hits, if in fact it does hit. Now, I get it. Start now. Let's don't be stupid if that's, in 2022. But that's 50, 60 years away when the existential threat is upon us, the point of no return. You get where I'm going here? Yet we have the capability, countries have the capability to destroy the entire planet and create a nuclear winter that will last 10, 20, 30 years, if not more, in an instant, in seconds. Like right now, you could have a crazy individual or regime press the go button. In Pakistan, they have nuclear weapons. India has nuclear weapons. Have you seen what's been going on in Pakistan? Yeah, that Pakistan that had Osama bin Laden there as a guest. And if Osama bin Laden would have had his way, because his idea of Islam, his translation of Islam, is the bringing on, I think it's the 9th or 10th Imam. I'm maybe getting this wrong, but the concept and the substance behind it is absolutely correct. That the world is going to be in total chaos when this Imam Savior comes and ends the world and everything's hunky-dory, and you better be radical Muslim or you're going to go to hell or die. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about all Muslims. I have a lot of Muslim friends. They interpret the Quran completely different than that. But I'm talking about this radical element. Yeah, the radical element that flew a plane in 9/11. The radical element that blew up the USS Cole, and which Osama bin Laden watched and saw the bodies being blown up out in pieces and said it was the most beautiful sight that he had ever seen. That's actually true, a quote from him. He didn't back off from that. He was watching it somewhere when that happened. That ideology is what I'm talking about. Well, in Pakistan, where the government welcomed him, the government welcomed Osama bin Laden and kept him hid from our forces for a long, long time. And we found him, and he met his Waterloo. But there has never been chaos, insanity of this level so close to nuclear weapons as they are in Pakistan. Yet nobody talks about that. Now, they talk about Iran getting a nuclear weapon, and my goodness, you cannot have that. As Thomas Sowell said, Iran gets nuclear weapons, turn out the lights, the party's over, point of no return. They're going to use it, and the world will never be even close to what it was before then, because you will have a nuclear war. I subscribe to that thought. But you have Pakistan, and inch by inch, this insanity is getting more and more ingrained in that government, where it could be very easily you get the wrong charismatic figure, like another Hitler rises up, and a person that can convince people that the Jews are the reason for everything bad in the world and get rid of them. You could have one of these radical, charismatic, radical Islamic leaders make it to the top, be able to convince the people that it would be better for the whole world if he or she pushed the button, started the war, created chaos like the world had never seen, because you know why? That's going to speed up the return of the 9th Imam. So I'll be doing God's work. Right? You think that's crazy? You don't think that's a mindset? You need to do your homework. That's absolutely a mindset of many of these radical Islamic militants. And again, I have to do a disclaimer. I'm not talking about those good-hearted people, most Muslims. I would have to say most Muslims, the vast majority. don't feel that way. But you have that, say it's 10%, 5%. A lot of Muslims in the world. And you have a 5% that's like that, then that's enough to start a war, do the thing that starts the domino effect, and you have World War III and all the consequences. But what if the United Nations stood up and said, we're going to have two priorities. We're going to work on disarmament to the degree that makes sense, okay, to get rid of totally nuclear weapons, probably not going to happen. But you can get it down to a level that this world would have a chance if the crazies get in power. And that's why it's so important to not let what they call nuclear proliferation continue. It's a big thing in the 60s. Big thing. People built bomb shelters because we came this close with the Cuban Missile Crisis of having an all-out nuclear exchange with Russia. And we're right there right now with Russia. In fact, one of the top generals just said the other day that he supports the use of nuclear weapons if things don't get better for the Russian army. Gosh, what a frightening thought. Why can't the UN and this New Green Deal movement get off of the, keep the climate change thing, but the most immediate threat, existential threat, is nuclear weapons to the environment and the survival of the species. So that's why if people would take a collective breath, and I understand 2019 to November 2022, not just the United States, the entire world went crazy. We're just now, I think, starting to make our way out of this post-COVID world that was literally insane. And we won't go in the litany of things to back that up right now because it's plentiful. You have 3, 4, 5 shows on that. But I'd put that forth. That's something that the United Nations could do. Bring health care, life-saving medicine, life-saving operations, quality of life operations like hip replacements, not just for us Americans, but to have galvanize the whole world, starting with the poorest countries, the ones that you're, Obama and a president now and all of Western Europe's trying to convince Africa, don't become a vibrant economy. The environment can't stand it. So we're going to pay you off to stay third world. How evil is that? We're going to pay you, just don't, because the world cannot stand all the emissions. You just do farming. We'll provide all the tractors you need. And by the way, United States will ship all of our farming to your countries. But please give up on this notion of becoming a robust economy in Africa or South America for that matter. When you look at the agendas being pushed on these folks, and these folks, the political leaders, think this woke far left movement and the Biden mentality and the Macron mentality in terms of the third world countries are their friends. They're absolutely not. But you can at least give something substantive to these countries in health care, clean water, a focus on nuclear weapons and bringing that to the forefront, how dangerously close we are to Armageddon. The UN could be meaningful. It could actually do something beneficial for this world. All right. This is Alan Autry, Noble Tree. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, big old I told you so, even though I didn't know what I was talking about because there was really nothing there. I'm talking about cryptocurrency. It's all the things, the suspicions I had about it. And I'm not the brightest chrome on the bumper at all, man. And I saw this crypto craze as being absolute insanity. Well, as it turns out, it looks like it was. We're going to talk about that when we come right back.
I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire.
Down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, 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 that ring of fire, that ring of fire. I hear that train a-coming. It's coming around the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. That's a flat-out lie. We see it every day here in the valley. Get that rain, it's like liquid gold coming out of the skies. Too much of that big fireball in the sky here in San Joaquin Valley. Oh, Sam Bakeman. Boy, he lived the life of Riley for a while, didn't he? He had it going. Hollywood celebrity A-lister. What he was. Every party, Sam Bakeman Freed was on there. We got to get Sam there. Why? I just invested about $20 million in crypto. He's turned it into $100 million. That's what he told me. So who's worse, him or Bernie Madoff? That'd be an interesting conversation. Who did more damage? I think we'll talk about it when we come back on radio, but I think this thing with Bankman is such a gift to the world to just show how, again, I'm trying to expand my vocabulary to describe how insane this whole crypto world, that you could create a whole new economy like overnight, and that people would trust it to buy and sell things. You just knew, at least I did. I said, yeah, I've fallen for a lot of crazy things in my day. Are you coming in on the show?
1 minute.
Are you here? I need relief. And you look just like an X-Lax to me. $50. Bum, 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 bum. Have I told you lately that I love you? I haven't. I'm telling you right now. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Merry Christmas to all of y'all. And I love this time of year. I think I talked about it on the show. It can be
20 seconds.
It can be challenging emotionally. You know, that seat at the table that loved one used to be sitting in, it's empty, not there. It's tough.
5 seconds.
Wouldn't trade it for anything, though. You are freaking amazing. Turn it up.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
And welcome back to Alan Autry. Want to be no retreat. Want to be one of the first ones to wish you Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all y'all. Hope you have a blessed Christmas season. And it's Alan Autry, no retreat, not Alan Autry, no retweet. You're free to retweet any of my tweets. I'm starting to tweet a little more. I don't have very many Twitter followers because I didn't. Am joined by Guillermo Moreno.
Alan, how's it
Say
going?
hey to the folks.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Those guys get a lot of money.
They get a lot of money. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. What would you not endorse as a product?
What? Oh, lots of things.
Really?
Oh, I got offered 6 figures to do a beer endorsement.
What if Xi Jinping called you and said, Alan, you know, we're going to give you $6 million. I just need you to endorse.
You know what? You know why I wouldn't? How do you explain that to St. Peter? I'm up there. Even Jesus would go, you know, I'm covering you on this, but man, this was rough. I got it. I'll take it on me, but yeah.
You don't be like Shaq.
What? You know, here's the thing about why I said I can't be bought. You know, people, well, you got to be rich because you run for office and you don't need the money and you're not as corrupt. I find it to be just the opposite. Yeah, I think you find more people who have a lot of resources.
Yeah.
And they want to keep those resources. They want to grow those resources. They want to grow that money. They want to get richer and richer. The most effective leader is, I think, a poor or middle-class individual who was raised well and in a family where they were taught that things don't make you a better person. Things cannot replace your honor and your, you know, I remember it was so bad. I remember in the grocery store with my dad, Joe Duty. God rest his soul. 3rd grade education, but still one of the smartest people I ever knew in my life. Back then you just quit school and you just worked the fields. A lot of folks in the South did. And we were going through the store, and there was these great-looking grapes. He's pushing the cart. And it's probably around 12 or 13. And I reached over. I'd see people do it. And I reached over and plucked me one of those grapes, wiped it off with my shirt, ate it. I didn't think we're going along here. Doc, that's what he called me, Doc. He gave everybody a nickname. I said, yeah. You pay for that grape? I completely lost it. What? Did you pay for that grape? What grape? Grape you just ate a second ago. I went, well, no. So it wasn't yours? I said, no. So you ate somebody's grapes that they're selling here. So you ate it. And you just think you have a right to that? Go and steal like that? I said, I don't think it's stealing. It's stealing. And that was it. He didn't make he made his point. He didn't browbeat me with it. But that all stuck with me about stealing. So I grew up thinking that's one of the worst things you can do, steal something.
Yeah.
And I would leave my car open. I've gotten ripped off so many times. In my locker, I wouldn't leave my locker locked. I kept getting, because my deal was who could lower themselves to steal. And we were raised dirt poor, but it was never an option.
Yeah.
And those were kind of, and I fall short of being, and I'm sure he did too, but he had these principles, and my mom did, to pass on. So when I took the oath of office at city of mayor, I said, I can be influenced. You have a good idea for the city. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever. If you can sell me on that, it might be 180 from where I'm heading in policy. But you can convince me, my staff start with me, that what you're proposing is good for the city. It can be done. Not in my term or say, but can be done. Then I'm on board. But I can't be bought. You can't.
Even if it was China.
You can't pay me enough, because I said to myself, one thing I like more than acting, playing football, and I love both of those, doing this show, I love more, is sleeping at night. I love sleep. Don't you love a good night's sleep? You get up. Yeah. God, they're so hard to come by. And if I would have done that, take $6 million from, I would have never slept the rest of my freaking life. You could give me a pound of Xanax or put a bunch of whatever, Sominex, they still have that stuff. And that guilt would just cut right through that, and I'd be like this, eyes bugged out all night going, I'm a piece of crap.
Well, you know what?
Because I'd think about my dad, that would be like, you just don't do that.
But you know why I asked, right? Do you know why I asked about China?
Did China just call for the $6 million? Tell him I'll get right back to him. I'm thinking about it.
Well, no, because a Chinese delegation met with our city, and maybe 2 weeks ago? Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, the Chinese delegation met with our city. The mayor met with them. A couple city councilmen. One member didn't meet with them.
Yeah, you know I'm laughing.
Why?
See, you come in. I had to do the show alone here, but I covered you well. You had big, important meetings. My first year in office, I was like second month in office. The Chinese delegation came. I was pretty excited about that. Georgianne, Georgianne.
Yeah,
she had me briefed. And so I'm in there talking with them. They had like 7 or 8 people in my office. And we're talking about trade and them wanting me to, come over and visit. I'm like, oh, that'd be great. And then I went political. I said, and I want to tell you, I agree with you 100%. China, Taiwan, it needs Taiwan needs to remain sovereign, and you folks, you have a friend here in Fresno that can support your sovereignty regardless. And I noticed they're looking at each other.
Who'd you think they were?
And Georgianne, I thought they were from Taiwan. I thought they were. So Georgianne goes, Mayor, can I speak with you for a moment? I said, sure. I'll be right back. We go in the main office there. And she goes, they are from communist China. And I went, no, let me tell you what I did. I went, oh, man. Wait a minute. Okay. No, I was getting ready. Initially, I got to go back in there and fall on my sword and say, I'm sorry. No, I'll be honest with you. That's the first thought. And I went, whoa. I'm going to go in. I'm going to tell them, look, I made a mistake. My bad. But I stand by what I said. I think we can still work together, your country, our country. And that was probably a statement that this was not the place to discuss that. I will take that. But what I said about the sovereignty of Taiwan, I stand by. And you need to know that if you want to do business with me. And you need to know that if you want to have me come over and visit.
I love
Needless to say, I never got the invitation to visit.
And they never came back.
Oh, man, for years, never wanted. But they were very nuts. But they just kind of looked at each other and, well, is there any more questions? I mean, they were loaded for stuff, and after about 10 minutes, they were done. They were ready to move on.
So they were so done with Fresno that they never came.
They probably went and got into Tom Boyajian's office. They were probably 3 hours there. With him, Tom. Yeah, America's horrible. Where's my Chinese passport?
Man.
Anyway, yeah, it happened. It happened, folks.
They didn't have like the little the flag.
No,
they didn't have lapel pins that said.
What, did I just sound like Curly? No, Mo, they didn't.
Oh man.
Well, that was but then, it kicked in. God has his way of doing things.
Yeah, yeah.
And it also introduced you to yourself a little bit. Because, Mike Tyson, of all people, I saw him on TV last night, had one of the greatest quotes ever. It's tied in. I didn't tangent off. You know that. So, show to you. I'm trying to keep up with you. But it ties into this a little bit. Mike Tyson said one of the greatest quotes that is so true that I could really relate to. They asked, the interviewer asked him, did he get offended of all the criticism that comes at him? He's been criticized a lot. He's been through jail and this and that. And he says, Mike Tyson, yeah, when I start thinking I'm somebody, I get offended. But when I realize that I'm nobody, I don't get offended.
That's true.
Isn't that something? I said, man, what wisdom. When you start thinking you're somebody, you start, and not who you are, really, which is the same as anybody, no matter what, how much money you have or whatever. And I'm sitting there going, I'm mayor. I just said I got to apologize. How am I going to get out of this? I was letting the office there seep in and trying to be politically diplomatic instead of just being truthful. What I promised the people of Fresno I would be in public and in private. I was folding like a dollar store broom because I was embarrassed because I thought I was somebody. I was the mayor, and I'd made a mistake. I think that was no, I didn't. I needed to apologize because and tell them I had to totally own up and tell them why I didn't mean to lure you in here about a trade deal, and then lay the Taiwan political thing on you. I said for that, I'm sorry, but my statements you need to know before we go further.
You can't make fun of Joe Biden now, right?
What's that?
You can't make fun of Joe Biden now. You know that, right?
I don't make fun. I just, you got to. You got two choices. Disagree with him, he drives you crazy, and you got smoke coming out of your ears. Agree with him, which is worse, or make fun of him. You're not going to do the first. I mean, the first you have to do the first. You got to disagree with him.
Yeah.
You're not going to agree with most of these policies. Which, by the way, brings me to this. I want to touch on this stuff, this crypto stuff, because I think you were on the show with me.
Yeah.
When I was saying, look, I don't think I'm alone here. I think I'm paraphrasing just a little bit. I think it's almost word for word. I said, I don't get this crypto thing. I've never been an economically brilliant person at all. I became an actor, for goodness sake. What is it? It exists because I saw the pictures of the Bitcoin. I said, if you invest, do they send those in the mail like the old 1926 silver dollars from the Morgan Mint? I bought some of those. I can get that. It's got some silver in them. I look at them and touch them. No. What is it? Where can I get it's in the cyber world. It's in
the cloud.
It's in the cloud. I said, well, is there some place like Fort Knox? I mean, these people got millions of dollars in it. Is it protected by a fence like Fort Knox or a bank? No, it's protected by the cyber wall. You mean the one that broke into DNC and all this stuff and the Russian hacking, all this stuff? Is there a special hack-proof place? No, but it's considerable. So you got nothing that you're investing millions in. You've got nothing protecting your investment, and you have the capability to go in, make it disappear, and you're not federal. You go in and make a bank deposit up to a couple of $100,000 is insured.
Yeah.
Right?
True. Yeah.
You got a little bit of that, so if somebody comes in and then if somebody steals from your account, identity theft,
you're good.
They go to work and the credit cards, they find they absorb the loss. What is your take on this? Do you think this Sam Bankman deal, who was a Freed guy who was he was the A-lister.
Mm-hmm.
All of these brilliant celebrities, and if they weren't brilliant, they had brilliant money managers. It said you had to go crypto. My goodness. They had entire countries. Wasn't it El Salvador? They said we're going to base our whole
yeah.
Wasn't it El Salvador?
El Salvadorian. Yeah, young guy.
The young hip dude.
The young guy.
We're going to be the
first country to
go totally crypto.
Yep, that was him. Yeah.
It's gone. I mean, how do you bounce back from this? So many people have lost money. Do you see crypto going away?
No. There's a sucker.
Tell me how
there's a sucker born every single day.
Well,
and even though, listen, I think it's the human nature of everybody. Everybody wants to be on that next big thing. Man, if I would have invested in this, if you would have.
But it's not. Is it not being revealed as a Ponzi scheme?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's been revealed to the world. Right?
It is, but I mean that lure. I mean, now we're not going to invest in it, right? But I mean, you got to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is crypto? I mean, crypto was everywhere. It was exalted.
Yeah.
This is the alternative economy.
Yep.
This is going to be the future. You got to jump all over. If it slows down, how do they get the confidence of anybody back, especially the money managers?
I don't, unfortunately, we don't learn from our mistakes. History repeats itself. So I don't think crypto is going away. I think it's just they're probably going to offer more protections. You mentioned FDIC insurance. I'm sure the federal government will kick in and say, look, if you invest in crypto now, there's going to be.
No, the government wants it to go away.
There's going to be.
Because they can't tax it.
I agree. But
they want to see this happen.
Unless they can tax it. I mean,
yes.
That's the key. We're going into unfortunately, I'm not a globalist. I hate everything globalist. I don't think we should ever be dependent on crypto, but I think there has to be some kind of exchange, electronic exchange. I wouldn't invest in it, but if it was legitimate, if it was backed up by something, I would. But it's not.
So what you're saying is kind of what I agree. Even though I don't understand it, people a lot smarter than me think there was something to it, that there was a future to it, and then lure was, hey, the federal government is not all over this.
Yeah.
You earn your money, and here comes an ideology in the office, the woke left, that want to tax 80-90% of what you make, and here you create an alternative economy where the federal government is kept in check. It sounds good, but when you have all the forces of government after that particular model, they're not going to sit back and let the crypto world get crazy and powerful and be so well funded that the government's not the boss anymore.
Yeah.
The government has to be the boss. And so I don't see if they ever got those things worked out and they did it step by step, and I don't know really how you do that to get to where they were before the big crash.
Yeah.
They went too far, too fast. They didn't have the disaster points taken care of. And here was a guy who took that money and did a high-tech Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
And that was always a susceptible thing to happen.
Yeah.
Greed.
It and there's always going to be greed. That's my hope. It's always going to be greed. It would have to be something like a conglomerate of countries, like the EU would have to all buy into it.
Right.
Then I would say, okay, yeah, this thing is
you're onto something. Isn't that kind of what's happened with the banking industry back in the day? Banks could go under.
Yeah.
The whole It's a Wonderful Life that we're going to watch. Everybody watches on Christmas Day. Beautiful.
I watch National Lampoons.
That's one of those.
Chevy Chase. I don't watch
that's it. No, you got to watch A Wonderful Life. They're going to do it at Edwards in the big theater.
Are they really?
Yeah, you got to do that. We got to watch it on the big screen. I'm going to. I'll pay your ticket. Buy your popcorn.
There you go.
Can you eat no butter?
I eat popcorn.
Okay.
I'm vegetarian.
But anyway, there was runs on banks. There was no protection for the money there. Things could happen, and people could just lose all their money. When the stock market went haywire in 1929, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of banks went under because it was so dependent on Wall Street. So then when they came back to build it back step by step, they put in some of those disaster safeguards that if these catastrophes happen on Wall Street, there's another drought, there's another depression or what have you, you got the power of the federal government behind you trying to help you through that. So perhaps crypto is going to have to play, sooner or later, do you agree with this? Sooner or later, crypto is going to have to play ball with the governments of the Western world. Now, they may have some inroads in, the other world order coming up, China, Russia, which I don't think so. I think they're hard cash dollar. They're hard cash.
They're not
baby.
dumb.
No, they're not going to go there. So anyway, it's nice to be validated. I mean, I was feeling so freaking dumb. I am dumb, but I was really feeling, because I didn't get this stuff. I wasn't even through half page one. Say it's a 150-page story. I would be reading over page one, trying to get, this is crypto. This is I couldn't even get past that. I'm not understanding how it worked. And then they brought in, I go, where do you keep this? But you can also keep it in your wallet. Well, how can I keep my wallet if I can't get the bill? There's no money. There's no physical thing. Oh, no, your virtual wallet.
Yeah.
So I keep my nothing money in my virtual wallet.
Yep.
And I don't know way I can take that with me is with my phone.
Yeah, just show everybody. This is my crypto.
Yeah. Did that really ever make sense to you? Please tell me it didn't.
I never invested in it.
You always had the knowing nod when we talked about it, and I look at you going, well, he gets it.
Just call me before you do any financial decisions now. Everything will be much better. Well, but this is interesting because you're seeing this now in the crypto space. You're seeing this now in the social media, Twitter space. Do you realize that we've come so far in technology and these other aspects of American life and human life that now we're looking to the government for some sort of regulation, and we shouldn't be.
Yeah, I hear
looking
you.
At the government.
I hear you. But could that not be their proper role, the referee? The role is for a government is to referee, make sure the game is played properly, that nobody cheats. If they would come in and, because with crypto, there was probably a lot. Are they playing by the? Let's do a timeout flag. Let's go review it. Do an instant replay review and see if they're subverting some laws or what have you. But I mean, right now, Bitcoin's a stocking stuffer.
It's not going to stock very much.
That's what I mean. It's a stocking stuffer. It's not even, hey, let me get some.
There's some Bitcoin in there.
For little Joey, a little 6-year-old, let's put some Bitcoin in there for him. It's worth nothing. It's worth, that stuff was going like 38,000, 40,000 a Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, I think what's worse is what's that one where they get it's only a one-time thing. It's not a gift. It's
called marriage. One time. The farthest thing from Bitcoin is marriage. Hey, before you go on up, because Jeremy's giving you that, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. Look, he gives me all the time. He's there to help. This guy works like crazy to get us what we need, but he's looking to have another. Hey, let me trigger you before we go. It's really got about 3 minutes. Did you see who came out saying we have trouble at the border and we better get control of this border? Say the name.
Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom.
What do you make of that now? Come on now.
He's not the biggest panderer that we.
So you think he's insincere?
Very insincere.
Look at Jeremy's going back. You see, like how you asked such a stupid question, Autry.
What did you hear?
He'd never say that, but he's there.
I'm triggered. Look at me. I'm moving in my seat. I mean, he comes out. Let me be clear. California, we need humane borders, but I support border security as well. Let's do this together, California. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't have, let's let everybody through the border, and at the same time, let's fortify the border. It's one or the other.
Yeah, but he's put himself on a spot. He's not dumb.
You didn't like my Gavin Newsom impression?
Well, it sounded more like Joe Biden with a sore throat.
Come on.
Let me tell you this about that. Well, but here's the thing. Here's what I would do. This is where Republicans do not get it. And it happened. I was so frustrated back in the Clinton days with Newt Gingrich. Clinton lost both parts of Congress. He said the day of big government's over. Okay? Then the Republican or the Senate, I don't know where Dick Armey was in. I think he was a senator. Might have been in the House. He starts saying, okay, let's work together. Let's get a crime bill passed. Let's get welfare to work passed. Went to work with Newt Gingrich. Now, they hated Clinton so much Perfect example for Dick Armey to go, you know what? Clinton finally gets it. He finally gets it. Way to go.
I see where you're going.
Way to go. Come in. You got it.
It
took a while, but okay, that's what you do, folks. You know what Dick Armey said on Crossfire? Remember, you're too young to remember Crossfire saying it. They asked him what he thought about Clinton's comments. He goes, he stole our ideas. He said that I'm watching this live. I put my head in my hands going, are you freaking getting me? That's like me as a quarterback, the wide receiver. I tried to get him to run a post route right instead of going to the corner because he wants to go to the corner. And finally he gets to the post, and I get up there and go, well, he didn't really, and I hit him for a touchdown. Well, don't give him credit. He always wanted to go to the corner. He still wants to go to the corner, but I don't care if he wants to go to the post or not. He went to the post and you got a touchdown. I don't care if Clinton was sincere about this.
That's a good point.
You just do the right thing. Be a reluctant warrior for the right thing, because you get real warriors with reluctant warriors, you can still get a lot done.
Yeah.
But what are they going to say about Newsom? Say, hey, attaboy.
Yeah.
Way to go. You were wrong by lying to the people about COVID. You were wrong here. But on this one, you got it. Amen, brother. Come on in. The water's warm, and let's get to work to securing the border.
Yeah.
Why don't the Republicans put the pressure on him? Rather, I'm watching the talking heads last night. You know, Carlson and Hannity, God bless them. I believe in a lot of what they say, but they're just dismissing him. No, that's the noose around Newsom to pull him over where you need.
That's a good. I didn't look at it that way.
Yes.
But you're right. We should be happy. We should be rejoicing.
Put the pressure on him. So then he goes south. You go, hey, wait a minute. You wanted to work with us. We brought you in. We were ready to work together, show what bipartisanship really looks like. Because so goes California, so goes the country. So let's start bipartisanship here on the border in California. Great idea, Gavin. Jim Jordan will be right over there. Do you have dinner at the French Laundry ready to go? You don't even have to wear a mask.
I love it.
At least that's my story. Sticking to it. Guillermo, thank you for coming. I know you're really busy doing great things for KXEX. And you're going to be on at 4 o'clock today?
4
o'clock live?
Yep.
Live, baby. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Guillermo at 4. God bless you. God bless America. Remember, just do your best. Let God do the rest, and everything's going to turn out exactly the way it's supposed to. Bye-bye now.
Who cares about the clouds?